or feature presentation.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in this evening to the mysteries of Al Capone's vault, featuring that wonderful human being, Geraldo Rivera.
A legend.
A legend unto himself.
Do you remember when Geraldo Rivera took fat from his butt on camera, on show in studio, and they put it in his nose to fix his broken nose?
No, that's amazing. I
And
wish
he
I had
officially became a butt head or a butt face, at least on TV.
that. Did somebody make that joke at that time? I hope they did.
I hope they did, but I mean, from then on, people did. But I remember seeing it when it happened. They put like a big blanket in front of him, and a doctor got down below him and took an injection of fat and then just put it in his nose in real time right there in the studio.
I'm gonna have to find that and comp it in over all of this.
Just randomly in flashes during when they open up the vault and see what's in there, and it's Geraldo's butt.
Well, I'm so glad that I've welcomed you, Adam. Once again, Adam from Riot at the Movies is here to hang out, and he's going to show some stuff in a few minutes, probably on his green screen hand. Am I going to have to do some compositing? Is that what's up?
That's for the fans to do that. They can do videos at home. They could later make something in my hand.
Oh, perfect. Yes.
No, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. It's terrible. No. What people will do if I did that? No.
All right. I'm going to kick things off quickly here.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys, indeed. Oh, aren't they just a beautiful couple? There. The shirt, it says relationship goals, which I think we should all be so lucky.
Almost as good as Night Beast and Deadly Spawn. They're getting married.
I heard.
Yeah.
Anyway,
show me your stuff. Show me some stuff before we get into the vault.
Before we start with Geraldo, a few words of wisdom from a wonderful human being.
There was nothing in Al Capone's vault, but it wasn't Geraldo's fault.
I had no memory of that bit from The Simpsons.
I also had no memory of it. I read it in an article today, and I was like, I got to find that. All right, so The Mysteries of Al Capone's Vault was a 1986 special that Geraldo did with a production company who did it in syndication. So no one network wanted to do the special, so they decided to sell it into syndication, and they sold it to like 120 different networks. They sold it all over the world to 20 different countries, and it had a 30-point share. So a lot of people tuned into this thing.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it was like a joke at the time, because obviously, as everyone knows, nothing turned out to be in Al Capone's vault, as Homer so eloquently put in song. So it was this big failure, but now has kind of gone on to be something synonymous with Geraldo, who then had a crazy career after that fact. It wasn't until after this whole Al Capone ridiculousness that he got his talk show, which he became famous for. Which I don't know if you've ever watched some of those episodes, but there's some pretty wild stuff on that show.
That was the boom of the Sally Jessy Raphael, Phil Donahue. All of a sudden went to a lower level in his talk show. Everything dropped into this sort of cesspool of pre-reality TV.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is weird for Geraldo, because he started off as a real reporter. He went to that, and then he went back. Like when you see him these days, he seems like he would never have humored that.
Yeah, he I guess he was at ABC, and he didn't want to do some 60 Minutes bit because he thought it was in poor taste, so they fired him, and then that's how he got this Al Capone thing. So he was like, a staunch, I'm gonna stand up for what I believe in, and then he does this, and then he does his show, which is something else. I might play some of that after the special, just so everyone can get a taste of what it was like.
It was the time until it all sort of ended when who was the blonde woman who was like, she was a little after Ricky Lake. She was kind of the end of all that. From then on, they had to either like say it was Jerry Springer and it was like purposely forced, or it was serious. I can't remember what her name was, but it was sort of this one last woman who came in. She was new. She didn't do a whole lot before that, but a gay couple announced to each other that they were in love, but they found out that one wasn't gay, and the other one killed the other one after the show. So that sort of like killed the whole like
That
genre.
whole, like, oh wow.
And so from then on, Springer had to be like, okay, now it's just ridiculous. If I'm gonna be like wrestling. We're gonna admit that these are people who came in, and I kind of pushed them to make up stuff. So therefore, I know there would never be any danger.
Yeah, right.
And then anything else had to like either try really hard to not be that kind of exploitive. It was something of a guy coming out to his best friend, but his best friend then like just straight up murdered him within 24 hours.
Oh wow.
And it was. Someone in the message board can think of who that woman was, because it was such a weird moment, because it was every channel had one of those type of shows. She was brand new. She seemed like she was some sort of comedian it didn't seem like she was a journalist. And all of a sudden that's the one show that went out of control, and she said, that's it, I quit, we're done. And then Ricky Lake stopped and everybody else stopped, and it was sort of over.
It killed a genre.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's amazing that Geraldo didn't kill it himself, because he did some pretty crazy shit.
Yeah. I think by that point he had kind of gotten out of it, because he was like, him and Phil Donahue were like the kings from that. For a while.
Yeah. 100%. So here's a couple of promos for the Al Capone special. So they promo the hell out of this. This was a huge event. Every network was talking about it. It was on the news. Everybody was super hyped about this thing. This is like, big hype levels of today back then, when you only had so many channels that you could watch. So here's some promos that played.
I read that as Cap Me.
Capone may have built it, and nobody knows what's in it. Some say money, some say bodies, some say it's booby trap, and we're going to open it.
Some say it's bodies filled with money and booby traps.
It may be Scarface Al Capone's biggest secret, and we'll open it on live television. Step inside the vault with me on April 21st.
Discover the mystery.
My mustache
Only
alone
on
will
Channel
open the
11,
vault.
Monday,
Step
April
inside
21st
the
at
vault.
8 p.m.
It may be Chicago's equivalent of King Tut's tomb. It belongs to the king of a criminal empire. It's massive, 125 feet
filled
long,
with
8
Tommy
feet
guns.
high, 8 feet wide. It's a mystery.
What secrets lie hidden inside Al Capone's vaults? Find out when we open it on live television.
A world premiere event, Treasure Vault or Tomb, the mystery of Al Capone's vaults.
Open it up.
Tonight
It's
at
filled with
7,
all of
only
J.
on
Edgar Hoover's
TV9.
pantyhose.
All right, so everybody was talking about this. It was on the news. It was huge. So here's a news report from after the special aired. So spoiler alert, although I think you probably already know, they don't find anything in Al Capone's vault.
Not even J. Edgar Hoover's panties.
Not even J. Edgar Hoover's panties, even though that would have been exactly where they would
John
have been.
Drummond is at the Lexington Hotel, where efforts to solve a gangster mystery apparently have fizzled. John?
Don, it was the biggest excavations and archaeologists dug up King Tut's tomb years ago, but the
This is
bottom
King
line
Tut's
here
tomb.
tonight
They
in
just
front of
keep
the
saying
old Lexington
that.
was that there were no bodies.
Why is this guy acting
no
like a
Capone
1940s
loot, no Capone
detective
swag,
do? Well, I
and
don't
no
know
cases
there.
of gin or Scotch whiskey were discovered
Look
in
at
the
that
basement of the old
sweet,
Lexington Hotel,
sweet
which
jacket,
once
though.
served as the headquarters of the Capone mob.
The whole thing turned into an Elliot mess.
Oh,
The moment of truth came earlier this evening
Ew.
when workmen using dynamite blew up the brick and concrete wall that had been billed as Capone's secret vault. Workmen found plenty of dirt and rubble, but little of value.
You never know yet, it may be in here.
Although two souvenir hunters recovered empty bottles of Prohibition-era hooch.
We used 2 sticks of 60% dynamite. We
But
probably
Turner was not there.
could've worked a little faster if we
I know, he
used
blew
3
up in the
sticks.
explosion.
But we wanted to keep the charge down because there was there's some gas mains out in the street, there's some water mains, and there's some other things. So we wanted
Hey,
a
there
very
was some
careful,
gas.
controlled charge.
One of those on hand tonight was Cook County Medical Examiner Dr. Robert Stein. He was at the hotel in case any bodies were discovered in the rubble.
Really, I had a lot of reservations prior to my coming down here. I think it's an interesting experience. I expected to find nothing.
I'm really disappointed I didn't find any bodies.
And the sum total
he
was
said no. He
interesting
expected to
evening.
find nothing.
The head
Nobody
of the
believed
production
it.
company that produced the television special was able to grin and bear it, even though nothing exciting was found.
Disappointment, of course, John, but it's been a terrific adventure, and I wouldn't have passed it up for anything.
John Jocelyn.
Yeah.
Mr. Jocelyn had the last laugh. 181 television stations carried that special tonight. And
this guy looks like he's going to say, "You damn dirty ape."
Don and Walter, when plans were announced for the TV special, we compared this to the Andrea Doria TV special hosted by Plimpton with all the ballyhoo, and we said at the time that there was a smell of Limburger in the air on this one. But one good thing about the Sunbow Foundation, which is a women's group, will be getting some of the cash out of it, and that's, of course, all for the good. Reporting live right now in front of the old Lexington Hotel, as we indicate, which was the site of the Capone mob headquarters at one time. John Drummond, back to you folks.
There you go.
I mean, they couldn't have found a better on-spot reporter for that.
Yeah, he was amazing, right? He was in period garb and everything, talking in the old-timey speak.
I hope he wasn't trying to, though. I hope that's just what he was like.
No, I think he was trying to.
Oh, don't tell me this. Just let me live my dream.
Okay, I'll let you live your dream.
But they're like, oh, you know that asshole who thinks like it's 1930s? Get him to go down there and do that. Yeah, we got to get him to do something.
So they mentioned briefly in that news report about the Andrea Doria. So that was a ship that sank, and they did a live TV special a couple of years before the Al Capone special, which turned out to also be a huge failure in terms of they opened the safe and there was nothing in it. But then it was also a huge success in terms of the ratings. So obviously they knew that it didn't matter if you opened up the vault and there was nothing in it. As long as people were watching, it was irrelevant because people would watch.
Yeah.
So
that's what hype is about.
That is exactly what hype is about.
These are the click holes of live television.
Oh yeah, right. 100%.
The clickbait.
The click holes. All right, here we go.
I'm George Plimpton. Thank you for being with us. And welcome to the live television event of the year. What you're looking at is the first-class bank safe salvaged from the sunken Italian luxury liner Andrea Doria. Tonight, with you watching, it's going to be opened again. Ooh, now will you break the seal here? All right, now we're going to have the opening here. Now this door weighs more than these three men put together.
Oh no.
Okay, there it is.
Oh!
Got them in there?
Look there. So much drama with all these like hits of lightning.
It's open. Read the cue cards.
Thunder and lightning's come to New York at the exact moment of the opening of the safe. We'll give you an update on what's going on.
Bundles of U.S. silver certificates floated up. After all, it wasn't just goo.
So it was really just a bunch of paper money and
We saw
stuff.
a tape of it earlier this evening. She told me that if she had her wish, the safe never would have been opened. Always keep your dream, that's what she said, and she's right. Dreams are perfect. The other point that should be made is the
Dude
old
with a
maxim
shotgun,
that is the
just in
journey
case there was some rich stuff.
not reaching the
And
destination.
people started like running
What a
for it.
wonderful journey Peter and Helga have given us. I'm George Plimpton. Thanks for being with us. And now I think we ought to celebrate with all these people. Come on up here and take a look at this thing.
Let's party!
Well, what did you bring to show the people?
Oh yeah, all right, let's do that. Let's normally we do a little stop and go on this, and let's see how to
We don't
share
have
some.
to.
Yeah, I can share the screen while I'm here with you.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh no. Well, now everybody knows who it is.
You're familiar with the Shockmaster, aren't you?
I do not know what this is at all.
Okay, well, the Shockmaster is like the #1 flub of all wrestling history. He was a guy in the WWF in the 80s. He was Tugboat, Hulk Hogan's best buddy for a while, and then he was Typhoon, part of the Natural Disasters with tag teaming with the Earthquake, just famously the two fat guys in wrestling.
Right, okay.
Then somewhere in the mid-90s, WCW was on Game. The people who were just in the ring a second ago, not even in the ring, they were in like a little talk show scene at the side of the audience. It was like Sid Vicious, Sting, Ric Flair, Vader, British Bulldog, and Booker T. And they're all like, we're the toughest in the league. And pretty much they were. But there's one more guy who've never heard of before, and he's coming. And because he designed himself in this fucking stupid costume, the rumor is And before he died, I did hear him say it once that he says yes, he did it, but people think he's kidding. That Dusty Rhodes nailed a 2x4 to the bottom of that breakable wall so that he couldn't break through it, and that's why he fell. And then the voiceover guy, who you're about to hear do the worst voiceover ever, that sounds like every bad Canadian cartoon monster, eventually just goes, I don't know what to do. So he's physically acting out, and then the voice guy goes, "Oh, I guess I should do it. All right." And so he starts to talk. Oh yeah, I'm gonna fight you. So much that they were so embarrassed. They're like, "Wait, he's wearing a glittery stormtrooper helmet."
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So they waited a couple of weeks, hoping people would forget, before the internet. So they figured that's possible, but it wasn't. And then he came back as a construction worker for like 4 or 5 matches, and then people kept going, "Boo, Shockmaster!"
Oh
and
no!
He just went away, and we never saw him again in WCW. But let's hear his voice.
I don't give a damn.
So Sid's just like, well, I know this screwed up, so I'm just gonna act crazy.
The man that rules the world. They call me the Shockmaster. You've ruled the world long enough, Sid Vicious.
Glitter on his chest.
Get ready. Come on, you want a piece of me?
New Coke?
You want a piece of me? Come and get me. Come after me, Sid. I'm ready.
I mean, basically, that's what a Shockmaster is. It's a new Coke. It's just like, let's put some glitter on it and hype it for weeks. Because Shockmaster had a countdown. Sting said there's one person who could shock you more than Sting, and it was that guy. And we never saw him again.
Because of a 2x4.
All that media in the 80s about New Coke, the only reason anyone remembers it now is because it appeared in Stranger Things last year. It was like, no, it's not a new flavor. We're just doing it differently.
Yeah,
so like
right. Yeah.
You're just doing Coke, but not Coke. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll keep with the OG.
I don't think I've ever had New Coke.
No, I would have been like 5 when that happened.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure it exists somewhere.
My teeth at that point. Like, somewhere there's a guy, Dinosaur Dracula's got cans of it closed.
Yeah, right. Just waiting to be drunk.
So every media had a Shockmaster. TV, video games. If it's a video game, I'm gonna say it's every LGN game that's based off a movie or TV product. Because when you were a kid, you're like, Ghostbusters, the Nintendo game. Yeah. Whoa! X-Men. My first 2 games for Nintendo ever when I was a kid was the X-Men game and the Ghostbusters game, and I cried that night after I played those games because they were that shit.
So sad. Well, at least you didn't get screwed like the kids that got the ET Atari game.
Yeah, I bought that with my own money later as an adult for the walls.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't even have an Atari, so I don't play it. I just shoot suction cup darts guns at it.
That's all it deserves.
Yeah. But
this January. Go back in time to the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Like, I saw episodes of this when this happened, that 80s show, and you could have shown me anything in this trailer and I'd believe you that's what it was. I don't remember a single damn thing about it. And I'm only really bringing it up because the other week I saw the trailer for that 90s show.
I know. Yeah,
I mean, it's great that Red and Kitty is back, but
everybody's back except for Danny Masterson for obvious reasons, but everybody else is back.
But I guess they'll be back in like cameos because there's a whole group of new kids that live with their grandparents in the house.
I think the idea is they're doing like what Full House did with Fuller House.
Yeah, but the seeing those kids though, who are supposed to be the 90s stereotypes. One, that was me, so I mean, I guess it's relatable. But I feel like early 90s is so fashionably relevant again at this point that they just look like every other teenager I ever see. Like they don't seem like they're a shtick at all. It could just be Red and Kitty haven't died yet. The show. But because the 70s show was the biggest thing in the world, so how could this fail? And it failed in like I think 5 episodes.
Yeah, something like that. It didn't last long.
Comedy series coming this January to Fox.
Mind you, Fox is also famous for giving up on stuff.
Oh yeah, as soon as it got bad reviews, done.
Yeah, it was over. But let's go back to the 70s to, well, I guess 1981 actually. I guess it was a couple of years after its spin-off the worst thing, unless you're part of the Cheers universe, you don't have successful spin-offs. This doesn't even seem like a real opening credits. It seems fake. Spunk shot? What the hell was that?
This is the most budget opening ever.
It's a cable access show, yeah. Speaking of slightly canceled people, it introduced the world to Jeffrey Tambor, already bald at only 29 years old.
He looks like he's 40 already.
I know.
Jeez.
Like, random annoying kid.
No idea.
Sitcoms famously add a random annoying kid as like later on in the show. They started with one.
They were going in with a bang.
And out with a fart.
It's usually how it goes.
George Sunga. They had all the dirty innuendos of Three's Company. In fact, a little bit worse, more in your face. The rumor was that Norman Fell, the main Mr. Roper, that he was a perv on set, so the girls wanted him out, but the studio still had a 2-season more deal for hm, so they gave him a show without the Three's Company. That's the rumor that like the internet likes to say all the time. You see clickbait things to say that. I'd heard that he thought it was 1 season, then he thought he was going to come back, and then they're like, "Why? We replaced you with Don Knotts. Why would we send you back?" But somehow it had 2 seasons. There are 2 fucking seasons of the Roper Show, and history will not remember that. Even that you can find it remastered on Tubi.
It's amazing how many like sitcom spin-offs there are.
Yeah, because later after Three's Company, there was Jack's Place, where Jack existed as a married man, where his father-in-law thought he was marrying his daughter for his money. So instead of pretending to be gay, he had to pretend he was a good husband. I don't know. Nobody remembers that show either.
No, I didn't know that.
Products, toys that bring out hype, amazing commercials that blasted television for like a month, and then they took them off the market. And after you see this, I'll explain why.
That's all it'll take. See what Jibba Jabba's got to say. You don't say. Yep. Jibba Jabba goes every place. They're talking you till you're blue in the face. Shake 'em around, all around town, and hear him make a Jibba Jabbery sound. Oh, really? Yep. He's the very best all-around Jibba Jabber.
I thought maybe they changed
Erdl.
From Erdl, yeah. But it sounds like other companies, but it's not. Like it sounds like a fake, like when a cartoon talks about a toy company.
Yeah, right.
I thought maybe they disappeared after like being blasting every Saturday morning cartoon block with these commercials for like 2 months. Then they were gone. I thought they were just gonna change the name because they thought maybe Jibba Jabba sounded too Mr. T like or something. But evidently there was a phenomena of kids buying them and shaking them by the head and going, "I'm killing you, I'm strangling you." And so teacher board said it's making kids go crazy and act to strangle them, because it was also near early seasons of The Simpsons when that was still a visual thing on the when Homer would do that to Bart. And so they said it makes kids crazy and makes them violent, so we get rid of them. Then a couple of years later, you realize that the factories had thousands and thousands of them because they pushed it so big. So they around the early 2000s, these toy stores started dumping them into dollar stores as office stress relievers. So then they were now telling you to shake them by the neck at that point.
Oh, I wish I had one.
Yeah. It was.
Did they put little business suits on them?
They had little ties. They're just exactly the same. They were just the Jibba Jabbers, but then they put on the words on it, office stress reliever, like as if it was for adults.
Yeah, right. Yes, because no kid would be stressed in the office. Oh, Cabbage
legendary.
Patch. Of course.
But the new one, it's got a new one with mechanical bits to chew.
Is this the one that ate the kid's hair?
Yeah. She poops out of her back into her backpack.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Cabbage Patch Kids Snack Time Kit. Comes with all the places
snack
you see
time.
here. Eat sold separately. Better.
But to put all that commercial into it, make that whole design, and then in months have it all taken off the market because it would eat away at kids' heads.
But you think they would have product tested it fairly rigorously, and that at least one of those children would have been a long-haired girl who would have been sitting with it, and it would have happened. But I guess it only happened once in a while.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think everyone did it. I think it's enough that it happened, and then it like tore out from the roots from some kid and made them bleed, and that was enough to like
them.
to ruin it. Yeah, and they had to like, that's it, we're done. Yeah, and that's the way it works when you're dealing with stuff with kids. They don't fuck around. So
No, it's true. If you scalp one child, your product
yeah, you only get one child to scalp, and then you have to move on.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Think of that meeting. So, Johnson, we scalped a child.
Like in the office? During the test? No, later. Oh, shit.
No.
Out in the wild? Yeah.
Oh, no. Not another one.
And to end this, there's one amazing hype that involves an animatronic creature with a female lead that was pushed so big. When the MCU universe exists so huge, before the 21st century, before the first Iron Man movie, there was only one Marvel movie that had a major budget and was produced by Steven Spielberg. And we all know what that is. I'm just going to let the hype happen. The hype.
What's the hype?
The Steven Spielberg Marvel movie, the only one that existed. You know, that's where you got to build that hype.
The sea of stars
and then disappoint you all.
I know.
World almost exactly like ours. This is where he lives. He's 27 years old.
May
single,
nest.
But searching. Favorite sports, windsurfing and Aikido. Favorite pastimes, cigars and sex. He has everything.
Cigars and sex.
Fulfillment.
Breeders of the Lost Ark?
It happens.
Hey, good buddy, are you home?
He has a very sudden midlife crisis. He lands in Cleveland.
Do you know why you were sent to me?
Listen to me, small visitor.
Oh.
I can explain how you got
All these
here.
films have these somewhat canceled leads in them.
Cosmic cause.
Here, he's forced to reassess his career goals.
You went to med school?
To
It's Jeffrey
explore
Combs.
new relationships.
Jeffrey Jones was canceled before canceled.
Oh, yeah, he was canceled a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we don't allow pets.
But if you think of like every kid's 80s movie, like he's in them all.
Wait, was that a bottomless Leah Michelle in that? That's her name, right? Leah.
What is it?
Leah Thompson?
Thompson, yeah.
There you go.
She's wearing underwear. But no pants.
Okay.
Because that's when they allude to be she's about to have sex with Howard, and then people walk in on them.
Yeah.
Because it's a pervy movie.
I thought that was a little racy for a trailer, but anyway.
I mean, bet you it sold tickets.
Oh, no.
A duck in big trouble.
That's a duck, man.
That's a duck, man.
He never made.
You know, Howard the Duck is not that bad of a movie. It's a lot of fun. And
no, it's not. But when you think about it in concept, that it's the only, like,
I mean, look,
George Lucas made a Marvel movie.
We did get the quality of Pixar that Pixar became because of it, because he had to sell off Pixar because he was so financially ruined by this movie that then Steve Jobs saved it and bought Pixar. And then now Pixar's what Pixar is. So there you go. We can thank Howard the Duck and this monstrosity for Pixar.
Pixar is more than just a hopping lamp.
Yeah, more than just a hopping lamp. At this point, it would have just been a hopping lamp.
Yeah.
But then Howard the Duck came along, changed everything. I still stand by this movie, though. It's pretty fun.
No, I mean, I love it, but I mean, that's, when I say that I love a movie is not exactly a reason to like advertise to the rest of the world. That's why I left Letterboxd, because I'm misleading people. Leah Thompson, Tim Robbins, and Jeffrey Jones. Yeah, I mean, Leah Thompson kind of disappeared a little bit, but Tim Robbins, legend. But if you think about when kids in the 80s, they all saw movies with Jeffrey Jones in it.
Yeah,
There's so many things I own that he was everywhere in. Usually kind of the same character, the kind of snobby dumb guy, like the dumb dad. concept. But there's so many movies that if this wouldn't have existed if we had found out how much of a terrible, creepy man he was. I like that one of the writer of this. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Willard Hyuk.
Yeah,
it's all full of Hayek. It's all full of the jokes. The little hyuks. Well, enough jokes. I think it's time to get serious.
All right.
I'm going to pass the torch on to you.
You're going to pass it back to me. Well, we're gonna hear one last word from our friend Geraldo.
Okay.
Discussing.
I'll bring in 1 point. I didn't put this in, but 1 point about Geraldo to bring into all the geeks. A fake Geraldo is the one connection between Transformers, G.I. Joe, the Inhumanoids, and I think Mask. Oh, Gem. It's Gem, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and they have a Geraldo Rivera character.
Yeah, right.
Geraldo, and he appears in every one of those cartoons.
Oh, crazy! Is it all? Are they all made by the same company? They must.
They're all Hasbro based things.
Oh, okay.
So that character with that voice acting would appear there. It's a little weird because Gem was drawn really differently than the other shows. But when he would appear, the other weird thing would be there's always a really small Easter egg to some other show too. They'll also mention something that happens that only the writers would get, and then now adult nerds now get it. That in each of those episodes they will wink to something. He'll reference a cult of cobras in Gem. He references in G.I. Joe. He references a big truck that could turn into a robot, and then in Humanoids, he goes to this club that's a cult that's all falling in love with the demons and humanoids, and he says, just like that crazy star rock band I saw that time.
Oh wow.
So they all exist at the same time.
And their only connected device is Geraldo Rivera.
Is a fake Geraldo Rivera, yeah.
Wow. It's a
Geraldo Rivera or whatever he's called. Yeah.
Rivero. Yeah. Gerald Rivero. All right, so let's Jerry Reeve. Let's hear it from Geraldo himself, just recapping the mess that was the Al Capone vaults, the mysteries of Al Capone's vault, before we get to watching the special.
Is this a long time afterwards or right after?
Yeah, this is years afterwards.
Because he looks a lot older there.
Yeah, okay. He's much older here.
Al Capone's vault, for all the burlesque trappings, became and still is the highest rated syndicated special ever. It was a great idea, 2 hours. It wasn't a rating success. It was a historic broadcast. I was humiliated when the show ended in Chicago. It was live, as I said. So we went across to the Mexican restaurant, and I got drunk on tequila. I went back to the hotel, the Hyatt Hotel, and
he was going to do that anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That was his game plan anyway.
He didn't know anything about success in those days. So I knew that I had wrecked my reputation, that I had fallen into the trap where I was exactly the caricature that everyone said I was. And I'd never work again in the business. And then that's the way I fell asleep drunk. And I didn't take any phone calls. I didn't take any messages, didn't let anyone in. CC kind of opened the door the next day to the room service guy. I'll never forget him. It was an old black man, old thin black man. He looked like the kind of guy, had the kind of dignity that the old railroad porters did, real, very composed.
I don't know.
And smart and dignified. And he pushes in, he sees me looking down, he says, puts his arm around me at some point and says, don't worry, son, they're not going to blame you for the bad news. That the damn thing was empty, and he handed me 22 messages. I had 22 job offers the next day. So, what was the low point of my career became the start of a whole new career.
But not before he got tequila drunk.
Yeah, and then someone messaged him and goes, dude, you're the funniest guy on TV.
All right, well, there you have it, right from the horse's mouth. A little bit of history about this wonderful special that we're about to watch. It actually is a pretty good special. Gives a lot of good history about Al Capone and the gangster world of the 1920s and whatever that time period. So it's a pretty cool little special, even though at the end that nothing really comes of it. So without further ado,
isn't that just life?
I mean, I guess that is life, right? It's not about It's not about getting to the end. It's about the experience of going there, right? Well, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Today's episode is the anti-hype show.
Oh, I'm gonna have to cut this up a little bit, I think.
We're all just about telling you that hype's a waste of time. Just roll the damn picture.
All right, well, there you have it. Thanks, Adam. We'll see you again. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Here's the mysteries of Al Capone's vault.
I'm gonna go close my vault. See you in there.